goes to show you should never give up in a poker tournament. If you have chips and you're still seated at the tournament, you've got a chance to win, and Ted's showing that tonight.
The best in the world.
Ted has king deuce on the button. It looks like he's going to put in a raise.
I was lucky.
Huh? No, I have not.
He's had king deuce a couple of times tonight, and I think he hasn't missed a raise with it. He usually wins the blinds. Let's see what Cloney has. Ah, king jack suited is not going to be folding. She could be re-raising. No, looks like she's going to call.
That's right there.
4 more hundred.
Oh, 4 more hundred.
48 total.
All 3 players in 4,800.
And Christie calls the raise as well with 7-6 offsuit.
Deuce. Ted's actually flopped the best hand here with 2 deuces. Cloney has a gut shot. She needs an inside queen to make the nut straight. Christie has also a gut shot. She needs an inside 8 to make a 10 high straight. Ted has the best hand with 2 deuces. And Ted bets it with 2 deuces, and he picks up the pot. Another well-played hand by Ted. He sensed he had the best hand, and he ended the pot right there before either of them hit one of their many cards. Cloney could have hit a king, a queen, or a jack. Christie could have hit a 6, a 7, or an 8. He didn't give any of them a chance to hit their card. Well, we're looking at the chip stack of Ted Forrest, our leader, and we're really seeing a clinic on how you can build up a chip stack by winning the small pots.
Christie raises from the small blind with queen nine and picks up a pot. Ted really has been dominating the action here, getting involved in these hands, and he's picked up a couple big hands. We saw him pick up pocket kings twice. That's very unusual for a 3-handed play.
Back to back.
You know, for many of the top pros, Ted, who very often has concentrated on the cash games and the limit games in particular when he plays the cash games, his extraordinary success in the last year has been kind of like, I wonder what he's doing. Well, we're seeing it right here. He really basically hasn't made a mistake all night. It's been a very, very impressive performance so far.
Really, no limit hold'em is taking over as the game of choice for everyone, and Ted has had to make that adjustment, and he's making it very well.
He's showing what a great all-around player he is. This is a guy that's concentrated on limit games, limit cash games, and in particular the stud variety, Raz, which is low stud, 7-card stud high low, and he's just decided he needs to turn himself into a no-limit hold'em player, and he's showing us that he's done it.
In Cloney call, this will be the last hand of this limit. 7,000 each.
They have a 3-handed pot here. And
well, Christie's now flopped the bottom pair of deuces, and it looks like she's going to bet. The Cloney does have the best hand with middle pair, pair of 5s.
16.
She's making a strong bet here. She can put a lot of pressure on Cloney, assuming Ted will fold, but it's up to Cloney. She has the best hand in a tough spot. These are those tough decisions, particularly a 3-handed, those middle pairs. You can't just wait around for top pair.
no, this is a very hard decision.
And she is in a very difficult position because it's 16,000 to her. If she's right and she calls, she's probably only going to win the 16,000. If she's wrong and she's up against the queen, she might lose her entire stack. It's a very tough spot, and that's where the position really came into play.
She threw
Well, they raced off. The blinds have gone up, and the smallest chip on the table is now a $500 chip, and those are the purples you see. The ante's $500. That's why the hundreds are gone. We don't need them anymore. 1,500 and 3,000 are the blinds.
Oh, that's never happened.
Some more big hands. Queen 8 suited and ace 10 suited in a 3-handed situation. These are pretty good hands.
12,000.
Cloney makes it 12,000 to the small blind.
Went out.
Mix it up.
No, 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 no. I know you're used to shoving it to him.
You know,
but
it's
this
hard
time
enough
it
to
does
win the
go
pots.
here.
If they don't push them to you, that's a real problem. To make sure
They'll
those
go
chips
his
went to
way
the right
eventually,
stack.
But right now they're going to come here.
And the button is going to
Get
move. I
one
believe
up on the
Cloney now
guys and
has
they
the
shove the
button.
pot to 'em.
You get the button every 3 hands. That's the good news. Of course, the bad news is you get the big blind every 3 hands. So these blinds are going around pretty fast. 15 and 3 blinds. And a $500 ante, that means they're putting in $5,000 each round every 3 hands. Gown opens with king, queen of diamonds on the button. It looks like she actually limped in. And Gazes and Forrest both check. Small connected cards. Gazes has flopped a flush. Gown has flopped top pair. This could get ugly.
Or pretty, depending on your perspective.
This is one of those situations where you would think Cloney might raise here, not wanting to give Gazes a free shot at a flush, but she may sense something.
Queen, Jack, Jack, 8.
10,500 in the pot. It's up to Gazes.
It's 20,000 is back.
She's bet 20,000.
It's another hard situation for Gowan.
Actually, there was 24.5 in the pot. She's now bet 20,000. We hadn't updated the pot size there from the last round. It's a really tough spot for Cloney. I don't see how she gets away from this hand without at least losing some more chips. She calls. Unless she hits a queen or a jack here, she's in big trouble.
River card.
Oh, wow. What a draw out. Gowan now has the top full house. She's betting 40,000, and this is really, really bad news for Christy.
You'd be kidding me with this.
She knows that she's probably just been drawn out on. It's 40,000, and she lays it down. She played this hand beautifully. I know she's disappointed, but she really played the hand well. Nothing she could do about it. What a bad beat. She was up against 1 pair on the flop. It took runner. It took first the pair on the board and then the queen on the river for her to lose that pot.
She was a 30-1 favorite on the flop.
Wow, that's a pretty key hand. There was 60,000 in that pot.
So that's like 93,000.
Tough hand to lose for her.
It's always tough to gather yourself after losing a pot like that.
I'm getting closer and closer to my camera. Be careful, Ted.
Ted with another big hand. We've seen some super premium hands from Ted tonight. Kings back to back, now ace king. Cloney picks up a pretty good hand. She could get in trouble.
All right, I'm just going to
Nope,
mock
nothing.
him because I am scared.
I think I had a
of him.
king.
I think that was so good. Oh man.
Shows the ace king.
There's,
We have seen that when Ted does show a hand, it's usually a good one. Ted is in there with gambling cards sometimes, and he wants to make sure that they see that he can have the real premium cards every once in a while also.
And he's been showing a lot of those.
Yeah. At this point, he'd have me pretty intimidated.
Throws the 10-4.
Cloney has the small blind. Ted folded the button. Gown with a big hand. King, queen, suited. That's the 10,000. Christy ducks out of there with the 9-7. Probably still reeling from a couple of hands ago. Not looking to gamble. That might be the kind of hand where if Christy had won the last pot 2 hands ago, she might be calling with a hand like 9-7 in
I
position.
took mine in. I'll flip
She
it again,
wants
but
no
I'm pretty sure it was Ted.
Part of
I think
playing
I
a
put mine in.
marginal hand right now until she can gather herself again.
Dennis is on top of things.
Okay.
There you go.
Forrest with another good hand. He's going to win a walk here in the big
Kings
blind.
are running.
King 9 suited.
Oh, sorry.
Howard, we talked earlier about how Ted Forrest is kind of inching ahead of everybody else. That's exactly how he's doing it.
Yep, absolutely. He's winning a lot of the small pots like the one you just saw. You know, he's starting to get a pretty nice chip lead, particularly over Christy Gazes. She's down to about 70, 75,000. So even if she were to win or double up against Cloney, she's not going to take the lead. So she's got some work ahead of her here.
Ted Forrest right now, twice the chip count of his other two competitors, but in a short-handed game like this, things can change and change very quickly.
Christie makes a 7,000 with the Jack-6 suited from the button, and is called by Cloney with the King-7 in the big blind.
Queen 9.
Check. This is one of those flops where no one flops anything.
You better take that
Christie's
one,
betting, and
There you
she
go.
earns herself a pot. 17,000 in that pot. Nice pot for Christie.
Make her forget about the hand she lost with flush.
Well, no, I don't think it. I think you never forget those hands, actually, Barry, but it'll make her feel a little better. Ted limping in on the button with ace-7 suited. Unorthodox
Can y'all
play,
guess
but
what those were?
when you make the kind of decisions that Ted makes after the flop, you can't blame him. One misses. Looks like when check check, we got a 9 on the turn. Check check, and now
Check.
Ted has allowed Christie to get there. That's happened to Ted a couple
Wait a
of
second.
times, but again, he
Yeah, I don't
does
have a straight-
play
straight.
some unusual,
The last time I folded
some
deuce
unusual
four.
hands,
Can you
and
do
he
it?
plays
Guys,
some
right
good
now,
hands
last
in an
time I
unusual
folded
manner
deuce four.
sometimes. But he makes so many great decisions,
that.
he can give up a small pot here.
Stretching a
God.
little bit.
You know, she's the only Chanel, you know.
No,
Well,
not
Ted
me.
Forrest showed that
That's
last hand.
fairway
Maybe he
thing,
is
right?
fallible.
Stay
Well, you know,
right
he
here
has a
and you
very
kinda have
unusual
the
style.
little
He actually has a
purple
nickname in the
chocolate
poker world
chocolate
called
thing. Watch
Professor
her that back
Backwards,
for about
and
4 days.
you know, that's because he
There's
kind
no
of does
purpose.
like to play his hands backwards sometimes, trying to confuse his opponents, and it works well.
Let's go.
Looks like we have 3 lippers on this hand.
Queen 8-7.
8-7 is the draw.
Well, this is an interesting flop here. Ted has flopped an up and down straight draw. 9-6
Did we
with
go
a
15
7-8.
minutes
He
ago?
needs a 5 or 10 to make a straight.
Something like that.
Cloney's flopped top pair. Ted has bet. He's probably going to be facing a raise here.
I want to raise.
And you are right once again, Howard.
Well,
Raise
that didn't take a
15,000.
genius to figure that out. The question is, how much will the raise be, and can Ted call?
Actions to Christie.
Raise 15 more. That's a rather healthy raise into a $16,500 pot.
Ted could get in trouble here by re-raising. With an open-ended straight draw, it's
Very tempting to play very fast and maybe put some big pressure on her, but he just calls. He's trying to hit his 5 or his 10. It's a 10. This is probably going to get ugly for Cloney.
25,000.
And Ted has done this many times tonight. He makes his hand on the turn and then
I'm all
he
in.
leads out.
Tony's all in.
I call.
And
Ted
he
calls.
has,
Oh, not good.
Ted
she's
has
going to need a
9-6, he
9
has a
or she
straight.
will be
Oh.
out of this tournament.
Cloney has
That was a beautiful play there by Ted. That
Told her to just
just call on the
What's
flop
next
and
hand,
hit
Cody?
his straight on the turn and lead out. Confused Cloney. She just couldn't put him on a hand that had her beat, and he had the straight.
Ow.
Of course, she needs a 9 or she'll be out and will be down to heads up.
One card left.
I didn't know he's going to be on a 9-6.
And it's a 3.
Tony Galvin.
Well, that's it.
Third place.
Ted with a dominant chip position now. Well played by Ted. He hit the 10. He would not. He just confused Cloney with that bet. She couldn't put him on the 9-6. I don't blame her.
Bummer.
Tough hand. She finishes 3rd.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
She played fantastically well, though, this term.
Yes, she did. She played very well. Tough hand. Ted really has been holding the deck here.
Oh, well.
Thumbs up.
It's me and the
Ted
best player in the
Forrest.
world. That's okay.
Actually, now we can play a little.
A little bit,
We have
yeah.
some time.
We got, yeah. Well, you got, what do you got, me 4-1 or something, right?
Limits
At least,
up,
what do you got,
stay the
like
same?
3?
I was just the big blind.
2 and 4,000.
Okay. Matt.
Matt. Matt.
And if
He
you
was
look at
just
these
the big
chip
blind.
stacks, Ted has a very
I
large
was just
chip
the big blind,
advantage on
yeah.
Christie Gaze's. This would be a
Okay,
tough
so I'm
spot
small
for
blind
Christie,
and
but
one
it, heads up, it just takes a couple of hands for Christie,
I'm
and
the
she could
big
be
blind,
back in the
right,
chip
Matt?
lead.
Yeah, it's the same.
2 and 4.
4,000 with a $500 entry.
2 and 4,000 on the blinds and a $500 ante.
Ted's first act, he's on the button.
He's got ace-6 suited, certainly going to probably come in for a raise, though I don't think you'd make a lot of money trying to predict Ted's actions. He does make some unusual plays sometimes, but he does them at the right time. He has tremendous poker instinct.
Oh, sorry.
And so much of what you do in a poker tournament is based on the play of your opponents, you know, during that tournament. And what's unique about what you're seeing here today is that you're seeing every single hand that's being played. A lot of shows, they'll only show you the best hands, but here you see every hand, so you have to get a real feel of real tournament poker here.
Yeah, there's certainly no better situation on TV for really learning how these great players win these tournaments. You're seeing Ted do the little things that add up to big chips at the end of the night. Yes, you would have seen his big all-in pots where he's making straights and he's holding a pair of kings, but we've seen how many of the little things he's done well. He's won a lot of small pots. He's stayed out of danger in some situations where he could have gotten trapped. He's done a lot of little things that may have been edited out of an edited show.
Interesting hand here.
4,000 apiece. All flop, queens,
Well,
jack,
this is a
five,
tough
ten.
spot, and this tournament could end right here, possibly.
That's 4,000 Christie calls.
Oh, she's playing it slow, so maybe not.
Turn card is a 7.
10.
Yeah. She's in trouble. Ted may not raise her here, but I doubt if he's going to fold.
Ted has to be worried about a queen, as
Yeah,
she
he
is.
calls. But in heads-up play, second pair is not the kind of hand you're going to be folding.
Sorry.
No.
Used to the poker too.
Last card is a deuce.
Check.
Deuce.
Ted still has the best hand.
And
Check,
over
check.
here.
Okay. Well,
Jack,
she still has
10
chips.
play.
She really couldn't have lost much less than this on this hand. This is not. That was not a poorly played hand by Christie at all.
Play heads up a little bit longer.
Well, Cloney Gowan is with us now, and Cloney, I think everybody here certainly agrees you played very, very well today.
Well, thank you very much. I thought so. I feel bad about that last hand, but I feel good about it. I mean, you know, I feel like I played very well.
Well, Cloney, I don't think there's much you could have done about that last hand. I made a comment about maybe how confusing that lead-out bet by Ted was on the turn. It's kind of hard to put him on a 9-6.
Absolutely, it really was. I mean, I definitely didn't think that he was there, and I felt like he was betting second pair. I mean, we'd played a few pots together and stuff, and so I felt like he was probably going to mix it up a little bit with me there, and well, he did. He did mix it up quite a bit.
I think just at this final table, though, you played very well. You were down in the depths just starting the competition here tonight. All told, a very good evening for you. Very good tournament for you. I mean, you had to do a lot just to get here.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely did. I mean, I was playing with the best players in the world, and, you know, I got lucky on Johnny Chan for sure. You know, so to even be here, I'm very happy with my third place finish today.
All right, Cloney, thank you very much, and a good paycheck for Cloney as well.
Yep.
Cloney Gowan finishing in third place here. 2 players left at the table.
Yep, so these players have locked up. It's about 130,000 for second, 250,000 to first, so they're essentially playing for 120,000, which is the difference between first and second. Not a bad position to be in. Each of these players bought in for 20,000 at the beginning of the day. They're all guaranteed at least a $100,000 profit, but we'll see who wins even more.
All in.
Well, here's your all-in call
All
right
right,
here.
I call.
Ted's called.
Ted's
King,
called.
queen for Christie. King Jack for Ted.
This could be the last hand.
This could be the
Good luck,
last hand.
Christie.
There's probably about a 40% chance, well, 37% chance that this tournament will be over. But if not, Ted has a very slim lead on Christie.
8,000.
Yeah. 70.
He called that very fast.
72.
But I really don't blame him. King Jack's a pretty solid hand for heads up.
Flop is a queen and a 9.
Ted
Where's
needs a
the 10?
10 or a king to end this
10's
match.
good.
He's going to have to hit a 10 or a king here in the last 2 cards.
7 on
It's
the
a 7. He
there.
needs a 10 or a king, or we will be in a real dogfight here.
Looking double up.
It's a deuce.
How much?
Just like
Christy
that.
wins that pot. Just what we were talking about. She's 200,000. Ted down to 260.
77.
This is anyone's
77.5.
tournament.
Is that right? 70.
72.5, right?
No, 77.5, right?
65. That's 65 there. 72.5.
Oh, 65. Yeah, we both did the same thing. Sorry.
So not quite the chip count that we thought.
So Ted still has a pretty solid lead, maybe about 260 to 200. Not sure if I trust those chip counts at the moment. Based on that, it looks like she might have more like 150, and Ted might have more like 300.
And I think that's what Matt Savage was saying.
She might have closer to 180. But Ted still has a pretty good lead, but obviously now the new situation is if Christy doubles up one more time, she will actually have a nice chip lead on Ted.
Christy wins that small pot.
But once again, all of Ted's good work tonight put him in that position where he was the one who could win last hand. He had a 37% chance to end it right here. And even when he loses that pot, like he did, he's still the favorite to win from there. So he put himself in great position. And he's still in good position.
Seven against ace four.
Yep. We're going to see a flop here.
Flop is Jack A3.
Jack 8-3 on the flop.
Everyone misses.
Okay.
These are the pots that Ted's been picking up today. But heads up, an ace high is not the kind of hand that folds that easily. And Ted having a king high will actually hurt him because he's actually thinking his king high is probably good, so he just turns it up and Christy will win the pot with ace high.
With something weaker than king high, Ted may have actually bet that
He may have definitely bet, but in this situation with the heads up, I think Christy probably would have called him and probably would have won with ace highs. The fact that he had that king probably saved him.
Not changed. 3 and 6.
So 3 hands in a row now.
Playing 3 and 6,000 blinds. The blinds are up, $500 ante. So it is costing $10,000 every 2 hands for these players.
It's 20,000.
20,000 is bet for Christy Gazer, and she wins the blind.
Christy makes a 20 with 10-9, and Ted, even with a slightly better hand, he had the queen high, queen 8, lays it down. It's not a great hand to be playing with after the flop. I don't blame him.
And Ted's a player that loves to have position on his opponents.
Yes, and he likes to have a hand that has a little more of a future than queen 8 offsuit. Christy with a big hand, ace jack. Ted has limped him with 7 deuce offsuit.
Big bully.
Yeah, right.
Well,
We'll be back with more of the FullTiltPoker.net Championship after this. We welcome you back to the FullTiltPoker.net Championship. We're at the Wynn Casino here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Christy Gazer, she's given herself a chance. Sometimes you just need to be there to catch your rush at the end of a tournament. She's still there. She's gathering some chips. She might win this thing.
Go ahead.
Now Christy limps in with 9-3. You are seeing a lot of unusual hands here, and this is what happens when you play heads up. You can't wait around for premium cards. It's kind of explaining why Ted called so quickly there with that king jack. You don't get hands like king jack every hand when you're playing heads up.
Bottom pair.
6,000.
Ted is bluffing with the 9 deuce. Christy has flopped bottom pair, and you can see she's not really even thinking about folding that hand. Heads up. When you flop a pair, it's not so easy to make someone fold anymore.
10.
Checking, and now she's going to protect her hand.
Which she doesn't have to do.
Little does she know that he has very little chance to get into this pot.
You could have split it with a queen, basically.
Or a 9.
Or 9.
That's about 6 hands in a row now. Or
She
6
is-
out of 7, maybe.
Christy is on a roll. Christy Gazes has shown us that she's got a little game tonight.
6,000 apiece. Flop is queen, 5-3, 2,000.
Gazes has paired
Well,
up.
Checks it.
Gazes has flopped a pair of 5s. Ted has flopped the flush draw and an overcard over the 5. This is a pot that will probably see some action. It's pretty close to 50-50. Ted has position though. There's always an advantage here.
Check, check.
Yeah, you see here he got the free card.
The last card is queen.
5.
And he's going to lose the pot, but he didn't have to pay a bet on 4th Street.
Christie, first act on the button. 23,000.
Christie picking up a solid heads-up hand, ace high, on the button. And Ted's ducking out of the way with 10 high. It's a hand a lot of pros would call with.
Christie now over 200,000.
So she's hanging in there.
Call 6, checks.
Okay, well, I guess we haven't seen Ted's cards.
Flop is 8-8.
Seeing a flop.
Christie checks, Ted checks. Turn cards. There's a 6. Christie checks.
So we'll be in the dark with you here.
Yep. And with Christie.
That's right.
Christie folds.
And we don't know what Ted had, but he made a bet, and I think just about everyone would have laid down that queen 8. So we still don't know whether he bluffed us or not. As we kind of put ourselves in Christie's seat.
Well, he did turn over his hand, so we know he didn't have a big one.
Next hand, we're going up.
Now the blinds look like they're up to 3 and 6,000.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Check.
And Ted is not showing his cards to us.
My
now,
cards?
so-
Yeah, Ted's.
Okay, here he goes. I guess we'll get a look here.
Flop is ace, queen.
Oop, this is a pretty big flop for Gazes. She flops a straight draw and a flush draw, and she bets, and Ted folds.
There's 2. There's 1.
So we are putting in 14,000 every 2 hands. That's 7,000 a hand, and you can't wait very long when you're paying that kind of money per hand.
20,000.
You should see the
Winner.
action really pick up here.
20,000 the bet.
Try to get the hands of quick so I don't
Yeah.
really stall us again.
Ted was in good shape there. If clubs came, he had the higher clubs than Christie, but Christie wisely laid it down.
Yes, and some of you at home may be wondering how we keep getting these hands out so quickly here in this heads up. We actually have 2 shufflers here on the set.
I'm all in.
Ted's all in.
Forrest is going all in.
Christie folds.
Ted makes a nice play there with ace high. Set the blinds. Looks like he's starting to nibble back into her stack.
And these players are playing pretty fast now.
So they're playing quickly, and we're getting a lot of hands in here. You look down at nothing. Folded.
Yeah, I guess you just see the mark right there. I guess you're showing them over here. I'm sorry.
Whoops.
I hate when that happens. I've never had chips stacked that high, you have to understand.
Folds. Ted wins 5.
We're going to have to wait for a confrontation here where they both pick up something.
Ted just raised with the 7-6 there. It
They
looked
put that
like,
one in?
or
Okay.
I think Christie just
No, I
folded
think
with
Christie
queen 4
folded
on
the button with queen 4, which actually, you know, that's the kind of hand at these antes and blinds I very well might have raised with.
Sorry, guys.
And Christie picks one up as Ted
Lays down on
what
the
looked like
button.
7-4.
Yeah, 7-4.
There's the chips of Ted Forrest.
Christie limps in on the button with 6 deuce. Ted has 2 sixes.
25 more.
And I think he's going to pick it up right here.
The strange thing is Christie just folded queen 4 on the last hand.
All right, now she limped in with queen deuce. That is an odd play.
Oh, yeah.
But I think
No,
she's
she just
feeling the
limped in.
pressure
That's
of
right.
the,
That's right.
the antes and blinds
You
going
are
up.
right. Sorry about that.
Now the big blind. It looks to me like she's down to maybe about 170,000. Ted is limping with 6-3 of hearts, and I think Christie is checked. You're going to see a flop here.
Flop is
Good flop for Ted, actually. He has a flush draw.
He's certainly going to bet.
Probably in the pot right here.
13,000 wins the pot.
Even though he was still a dog in the hand, an underdog in the hand, it was actually a very good flop for him because it allowed him to bet and pick up that pot.
He was making what's called a semi-bluff, where if he gets called, he knows he's beat, but he has a decent chance to draw out against just about any hand except the full house. So it gives him the ability to bluff at the hand, knowing that he has two ways to win. He can either win it there with the bluff, or he can hit his card. In that case, would have been a heart.
10, 10, 6.
Wow, this is a big flop for Ted again. He's
10.
flopped another flush draw.
Now Christie takes a shot at this pot with only the 9 deuces. This is not a semi-bluff. This is a complete bluff.
It's a pure bluff. Yeah. She does not really have much of a chance to win this pot if she gets called. Ted is calling. It's flush draw. You can see Christie only has a 12% chance of hitting an offsuit 9 or deuce.
Turn card is a 10.
Another 10.
Now that's got to scare Ted.
Right, but he just fires away. Now all of a sudden here, if Christie has a 6, he's drawing dead with his flush draw, and now he leads up.
Facility here, new facility, and I have to say, not really out of the Las Vegas mold, to tell you the truth. I think it's really tastily done, and terrific place.
Very nice property they have here. Steve Wynn has created many of them here in Las Vegas. Real pioneer.
Both players in for 12,000. Flop is 10, 8, 6, 2 hearts. Check. Turn card, 10.
Interesting. Both
Well,
players
this is obviously a huge flop for Ted. He has the absolute nuts, 10s full of 8s, but Christie has a 6, and she's probably going to at least call here.
It's not the other way around. It's Christie.
Oh, Christie has the nuts. I'm sorry, I was misreading those cards. Christie has the nuts.
Strategy for my opponent.
Ted has bet, and Christie has just called with the nuts.
Well, that's a page out of Ted's book, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And that's a card that
40.
might cost her a little money there. It might be hard for him to call this bet. 40,000 she's betting. It's kind of hard for him to imagine that she has a hand where he's still got the best hand. She just called last card. You think about all the possible hands she could have called with. Jack 9, Queen Jack.
The hard draw got there, and if she has a straight draw, she got there too, because if she doesn't have the 7 to make a straight, she had the 9.
And also the 10-8 also has a beat. Basically, she'd literally have to have like ace little, where she was calling last card, just hoping the ace high was good, and now this 9 of hearts hits, and she decides to bluff it. That's the only hand he can beat.
I don't know why he's thinking. He must think she's weak for some reason. It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
98,000.
This is a real misread. This is his first misstep of the tournament.
Full of 8s. 10s full of 8s.
Yeah, he must have just put her on that ace rag, and he just made his first real misstep here. And Christie Gazes now has the chip lead.
Yeah, the only way he can call there is because he misread her in some way.
Yeah.
She did something that made him think that she was very weak there.
Well, again, she played the hand in a very similar way to the way he's played a lot of his hands, where she just called and then she leads out. That's a very confusing play to an expert player. That's not a common play that you see very often. And I think she kind of used a little of his arsenal against him. And very often, a player that uses that play is susceptible to that play when other people do it. Christie has flopped the best hand again. Bottom pair. And again, she's probably not going to fold.
Ted takes a stab at it, but it doesn't work.
This hand's probably over.
Check,
He's going to check. She may check, but
She may check too, I think.
unless he hits a jack, probably going to go check again, and she'll win it. Yep. Christie's now won about two or three pots in a row here, and she's taking the lead. The antes are very high at this point.
You can see her heartbeat, and 105, 104. It's exciting. Well, jumps to 117 just because we talked about it on that.
Ted limps in with the 7-6 on the button. Christie checks with Queen 9. See a flop.
Oh,
Huge flop for Christie. She's flopped a straight, but Ted has a flush draw. So he does have a decent chance to win. She's just moved all in. Ted's going to have to fold. Another pot for Christie.
She's playing with great confidence.
Well, you know, this is one of the ways that you win a poker tournament. You don't have to be on the lead the whole day. You kind of hang around, you don't go broke, and if you catch a rush at the end of it, these tournaments can be yours. I would say at least half of my tournament wins have been won this way. It's not like you just get a big chip stack and then you punish people the whole way. Sometimes you just hang around and you wait for your rush at the end of the tournament.
Uh-oh.
And this looks like we could be seeing the end of the tournament right now. Ted has a pair, Christy has a higher pair, she has Ted covered, and I'm expecting Ted to re-raise, and we will see an all-in here. But then again, I don't guess right with Ted very often.
Ted is a unique player. I would have bet money that he was moving in on that hand.
Unless it comes a lot of overcards here, I'm still expecting to see an all-in pot here.
I'm all in.
I call.
Yeah.
All in, all
No,
in.
Ted?
All in. Ted's going to need to hit a 7 here in the last 2 cards.
Oh.
She
She even has a diamond to cover his diamonds. He can't hit 2 running diamonds. He has to hit exactly a 7. It's his only way to win.
7s versus 9s. Christy Gaze is looking to win this.
92% chance
Oh
for
my
Christy
God,
Gazes
I can't
to end the
believe it.
tournament right here and win the FullTilt-Poker.net championship at Wynn Las
8 on
Vegas.
the turn.
In
1
8,
card left.
he needs a 7 or the tournament's over.
So Christy will be the champion.
7 of clubs.
8 on the turn. 1 card left.
Deuce.
It's a deuce, and Christy
That's it.
Gazes
About time.
has won the tournament. Great job, Christy Gazes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Like you have to win a lot of events. She made good decisions early to preserve her chips and give herself a chance to win.
This is a really, really well-played final table.
Oh my God.
A lot of fun bringing this to you tonight.
Absolutely, just terrific play. Terrific play really all around the table. Ted Forrest just had command, it seemed, of this tournament until
Oh my God,
maybe
I
the
wonder
last
if my
20
mom's
minutes.
watching?
Exactly. One thing about Christy, you saw her chip count. She was the only one that had a very stable chip count throughout the entire tournament. She held onto her chips, she got heads up, and that's when she turned it on.
And they will now bring the check in, and she's going to love cashing that one. No question about it. Matt Savage is going to handle the ceremonies here with Ray Bitar, the CEO of FullTiltPoker.net. And here is Christy.
On behalf of FullTiltPoker.net, I'd like to present this first place check
Thank you.
to Christy Gazes. You played amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job, Christy.
Amazing
Wonderful win.
Gazes.
Christy Gazes.
Christy Gazes is the winner. She wins $250.